And so that's why it was important for them to get here at 5:50, because we had to play. The students, one of the classes has all the percussion in it, and so the other students in the class that doesn't have percussion were like, wow, I never heard that before. And one of the classes has all the French ones. This concert is going to show you where we started from and the point that we're at right now. And the students have made remarkable progress this year, and we've been very proud of them. And we would like to start off, the very first thing we learned after we learned how to put the instruments together, which took a while, is we learned how to play a whole note. A whole note lasts for 4 beats. They had to learn that when they're on the concert stage that they're quiet, and that they understand that while they're on the stage performing, they stay quiet through the entire performance. The first thing that they learned was how to lightly tap their toes, because if they tap it too hard, you're going to hear it on the wood floor. And a whole note is going to last for 4 full beats. And that's a lot to do when you first learn how to play an instrument. The students come to us not knowing anything. Very rarely do we have a student that's played before. I know when I started band, I started in the 5th grade, and some of the states up north will start in the 5th grade, but here we start in the 6th grade. So this was our very first whole note. Fantastic. And they would look at us like, are you crazy? Did you just hear what we played? And it's like anything. We tell them when babies first come out, they have to learn how to crawl, then they walk, and then they can eventually run. We don't come out running right away. So after a while, the first whole note became this whole note. It wasn't right away. Next up, we learned half notes, and half notes in band are 2 taps of the toe, and then they also had to learn how to initiate the note with their tongue. So they have to start with the tongue and go da, da, and they had to make sure that their airflow was really fast and consistent, and that they're using very little tongue. Next up was quarter notes. This is getting a little bit more difficult. Every time their toe tapped lightly, where we can't hear it on the stage or in the band room, they had to initiate a note. So da, 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 da. The faster the note, they had to learn that there was the faster airspeed and very little tongue when we get even faster. So next up is quarter. first song. And our first song in the book is line 17, Hot Cross Buns. And this song, they had to learn how to change notes, change fingerings, change slide positions, while articulating the start of each note. And then it incorporated quarter notes, half notes, and a whole note, and also rest. So our next line that we learned was line 17, Hot Cross Buns. As we progressed, you'll hear that each line gets a little bit more complex, and it involves a few more skills. Our next one is Mary Had a Little Lamb, and it involved quarter notes first, and then we had half notes, and then we also have a whole note. And if you notice on a release of a note, we worked on this today, even on the stage, on the concert stage. The last thing on the release should be low brass, low reeds, and the rest of the ensemble had to learn to release a little bit before them, so it sounds really nice to the audience. Our next thing is Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Good evening. My name is Mia Panis, and I'm the assistant band director here at Mabry Middle School. It's nice to finally see all your faces. Please come up and introduce yourself to Ms. Barnacki and I after the concert, because we love to put faces to names, and I'm sure we've talked to plenty of you guys, and we just thank you for letting us teach your students, because we love them and they're fun and they behave most of the time. So the next thing on our concert is Ba Ba Black Sheep, which is also known as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's just accumulating all the skills that we've learned so far. We're now up to 4 notes, switching between 4 notes at the same, between different measures in the piece. So this is Ba Ba Black Sheep. Our next piece is an exciting one because it's the first time we've ever played together but not playing the exact same line. So this next piece has a melodic line and it's got a harmonic line. So you're going to hear 2 different, same rhythms, but 2 different lines happening at the same time. So what will happen is half the group is going to play the top line and the other half will play the bottom line, and then we'll play it again and they will reverse. So you guys will get to hear a little bit more action in there. So this is our first song we played where everybody was not playing the exact same thing. This is Ode to Joy. So we'll have 3 different groups, and what will happen is the first group will play for 4 measures, and then the next group will come in on top of them, and then after another 4 measures, the third group will come in. So it's teaching them to play and listen to each other, and even though they're not always playing the exact same thing. So the next thing we're going to play is for Jacques. Our next piece is going to be America. It's a well-known piece, but for them, it introduces a lot of things we haven't done before, like eighth notes, which are even shorter than a quarter note. They're just half of a beat. So they're difficult to play, especially when you're just starting out, because you got to move your fingers really fast. So this next piece will incorporate eighth notes, as well as some different rhythms that they haven't seen before. So without further ado, here's America. Our next piece is called Flight of the Banshee. This is the first time we've gotten to play music with many, many different parts. So you'll see the percussion scurrying around in the back because they've got different parts now. They've got chimes they're going to play. We've got somebody on timpani over there. We have snare drums, bass drums. We also have people on the keyboards. So this is the first time percussion really got to explore all the different instruments. And this is the first time as a group we've played more than just 2 different parts. So we've got 4 or 5 different lines going on. The piece is called Flight of the Banshee. It's about an old Irish tale about the banshee, and it's supposed to be frightening and scary. And the clarinets and the trumpets are banshee, so to say. They have the melodic line, and they are doing a great job with it. So next is Flight of the Banshee.
just like to thank our wonderful administration. We have the best administration I've ever worked for, and we're very honored to have Mr. Anthony Cobb here tonight, so please let's give him a round of applause for all of us. Obviously, without your support, we couldn't have this on this stage. And I think it's really important that we have students that are very well-rounded. I know when I was in school, I played sports, I played in band, and I still maintain an A average. And it can be possible to do all those things, and I think it's important that the students are allowed to explore and become a well-rounded individual. If your student doesn't take private lessons, if you can afford it, we encourage you to take private lessons on the instruments, because obviously with this many students, we get as individualized as we can, but obviously we can't get to everybody every single day, just because if there's 40 minutes in class and we've got 50 students sitting in front of us, we're only going to get so much individualized attention. If you need any help finding private lesson instructors, Mr. Dennis and I would be glad to help you out. The last thing is, before we perform our last piece, at the end of this concert, we're going to need some help stacking the chairs and putting the stands back on the racks. We just flip the stands over, and the chairs are no more than 10 on a rack, and we'll pull those racks out. Our last piece introduces the students to the key of A flat. Most 6th grade bands don't play in A flat, but I think it's important that they learn some of the more difficult keys their 6th grade year, because they can easily handle it. So in this piece, we learned our A flat scale first, and that we also learned that the highest note the brass are going to play is a concert A flat, which is 3rd slide position, 1st bell. Trumpets are learning a high B flat, and woodwinds are also learning their upper register notes. Percussion will have, just like the last piece, complex parts. It's no longer just 8th notes and quarter notes. Now we're introducing 16th notes. And a lot of times bands don't learn 16th notes until their 7th grade year. But we at Mabry know that we have high achieving students, and they can rise up to anything that we give them. Our last piece that we would like to perform for you tonight is Boom Boom Stomp.